Hello guys, welcome back to the channel, welcome back to the garage. So if you guys follow me on the Instagram, you will have seen that Cecil County Dragway posted up that they are done for the season. No more drag racing, no more testing tunes. So we are officially done with the race truck for this year, which means we can start our winter projects. Unfortunately, we never got our 9-second pass, but that's fine. Honestly, and we've talked about this multiple times, every time that truck went down the strip, there was a chance that a rod was going to go, that factory bottom end was not going to take it anymore. So I figured that everybody would like the little refresher, I guess, of what exactly is done with the truck and how we basically, as far as I know at least, built the fastest 4th gen truck with a stock engine. So when I'm saying stock engine, this is a 150,000-mile engine that has never been apart. Yes, it has head studs that were replaced one at a time, ARP 625s, and valve springs and push rods, but other than that valve cover coming off, that engine has never been apart. I don't know of anybody with 4th gen truck who has been faster. I know there's multiple 3rd gen trucks out there, but if you know of a 4th gen that's faster with a stock engine, let me know down in the comments. So diving into this thing, this truck is a 150,000-mile 2010 Dodge Ram 4-wheel drive. This is actually when they were still a Dodge Ram rather than the ones now that are just considered a Ram for whatever reason. But I purchased this truck in Florida, which is actually my first YouTube video ever. All these mods to the truck, if you haven't been following along with the channel, are in there. There's no secret squirrel stuff, and you guys have been with me every step of the way, all the way to our 10-19 pass at 132 mile an hour, I believe it was, maybe 133. And we have trapped 135 in the quarter as well, with a 1.460 foot at one point. So to get started, like I said, with the engine, it has never been apart. So this is a stock bottom end, stock rod, stock cam, stock piston truck. The head studs are ARP 625s that have been replaced one at a time. We have Hamilton valve springs with the heavy duty retainers, I guess it is, and Hamilton push rods. Also providing our fueling to the engine is a set of 200% over S&S injectors. The injectors were actually in my gray truck Caitlin at one point. So was the twin pump kit from ATS, which is just a factory pump. So we have two factory CP3 pumps, and for all I know, the factory pump on this truck has 150,000 miles, just like the engine. So those two components came off of this truck, as well as the valve springs and the push rods. Also, I had purchased this turbo, our S476 87, had a 90 housing originally, now has a 1.1 housing. It is a forced inductions unit. This was originally slated to go on the gray truck. Our turbo swap kit was not originally in this configuration. It started off life as a Source Automotive 2nd gen swap kit for these trucks. Same swap kit I actually have on my gray truck. If you guys are noticing, if you notice a little bit of correlation there, basically what had happened was I kind of started with the gray truck, getting a little carried away, did a 48 RE swap and all that, kept busting input shafts, and got tired of my nice Laramie truck sitting in the garage. So that's when I went out, found this pig, and we started throwing all the stuff we didn't need to daily drive and tow with that truck onto this truck. So going with our swap kit, originally it was down low, off of our stainless diesel manifold. So we flipped it up, did the selectable hood stack for a minute, and then we just went to a straight hood stack. But we flipped it up in this upper position. We have custom made oil drain and feed lines that we put on. We have a turbo blanket and a manifold blanket from Thermal Zero, I believe it is. A custom made by me intercooler pipe that feeds into a Mishimoto intercooler for the 4th gen trucks also, which was on the gray truck. And we have a Turbo Smart blow-off valve. This is that diesel blow-off valve kit that they have with the controller in the cab to, you know, control our boost pressure. So when we get to the end of the strip, get off the throttle, we're not surging the turbo, putting extra stress on it. Also, we do have a fleece coolant bypass on the truck, and also we have a set of Flexolite fans. These are actually the kit for the 3rd gen trucks, which we modified the bracketry to work on our 4th gen, which, if you guys can see down there, which I know it's getting dark, doesn't leave much room between the balancer and the fans, which we do have a fluid amper harmonic balancer. The thinking there was, let's try and keep the harmonics of the engine in check, so that way hopefully the rods don't blow out the side. You know, any little help we could get, we did. And that is also the reason we went with the big single charger. Just try and make the power up top, keep the torque out of it, and, you know, just keep it alive. Also keeping the belts in check and looking good, we have Adam Aquino's fan pulley delete kit. Basically, this gets rid of the big fan pulley and idler with these 2 smaller idlers. A very nice kit. If you're interested in that, somebody had commented before about it, contact him direct on the Instagram. He was great to deal with, made things easy, and I definitely like this kit. He also has, it does require dual CP3 pumps, but he has another kit, or a modification to this kit, that you can run an electric water pump as well, so you can get rid of the factory water pump, which we did clip after we blew the freeze plug in the head. So we did clip our water pump. We never got a chance to run it again at the track, so I don't know if that actually did anything or not. Finishing up like the induction side of things here on the driver's side, we have a 4-inch Flow Pro boost tube, which leads to our Banks Monster Ram. Now, this Monster Ram actually does not work with the ATS twin fueler kit. That I had to grind it a little and kind of make it custom fit, and it really was a pain. So something we will probably change up here this winter. And all of our different electronics and all that, we put in this remote fuse panel, so that way I could try and keep that as tidy as possible. Something else we have to address, because it is, well, it's gotten less than tidy, let's just say that. And I guess that's about it for under the hood. Oh, we did delete our other battery, which basically just removed it and the cables and ran a new cable from the alternator over the other battery. So that's it for under the hood. So that kind of takes care of what made the power to get the truck to run a 10-second quarter mile, which it did very consistently. I mean, it was pretty much 10s all the time, except for obviously when we had some issues. For the truck to get down the track, the 68 RFE was never going to do. So originally I actually had this 48 RE swap in the gray truck. That came out and our built 68 RFE went back in, and that went into this truck here. We had some issues burning up some torque converters. When we did that, we got with Mr. John Muldoon, and he built the transmission to the 9s. You know, we just went a few steps above where it was built previously, and basically this transmission is his stage 4 transmission. In front of the transmission, there is a gear end torque converter. It's a custom torque converter set up for like our turbo setup. But it also accepts a fat input shaft, which we have on this trans. And then we also have a gear end billet flex plate on the back of the crankshaft to, you know, make sure we don't have any issues there, as that is an SFI cert flex plate. Speaking of SFI and all that, we do have an engine diaper, and I can't remember where that's from, and a Suncoast transmission blanket on our 48 RE. Now, as for the stance of the truck sits extremely low, and that is accomplished by having cut coil springs with a fleece shock tower delete and Bilstein shocks. Honestly, there's way too much coil cut on these for it to be driven on the street, because as you can see there, I cut our bump stops in half because they were resting on the axle, and even going out of the driveway here, if I don't take it easy, it bangs and clangs and all that. Also, we have Hoosier drag radials on the truck. for the track. These are Hoosier DR2s. They are a 325 45 18 drag radial on a moto metal wheel. I don't really remember the specs of the wheel. I think it's an 18 by 10. So in the rear, we did a reverse level, and we also added drop shackles. And honestly, to this day, I don't know if the drop shackles actually did anything. So since we're back here, we'll talk about the back of the truck. The truck is still a factory drive shaft truck. Never did anything to that, and didn't even have to change any U-joints. So back here, as you can see, is extremely gutted. We gutted the entire bed of the truck, cut cut all of the cross members out and added tube in its place. And in the front there, we have a drive shaft hoop to protect us in case the drive shaft does decide to separate from the vehicle. We have a derail transcooler. I don't know the specs on it, but it is the biggest one that I think they make on a custom aluminum bracket. We also have a 15-gallon fuel cell. This is just like an Amazon special, you know, cheap, but it works. And then we have an Air Dog 4G, the big model. What is it, 200 or 260 or whatever it is? But we have an Air Dog supplying fuel to the twin CP3s and the engine. Also helping us hook at the track, we have these custom ladder bars that I built myself. They worked extremely well until the last couple times we had it at the track. I felt them clunk, so we welded them to the axle with a little tack weld right there, and that was just to keep them from rotating, as I didn't think the U-bolts were doing their job anymore. So yeah, the bed is extremely gutted. And speaking of gutted, we'll move into the interior of the truck. So as you can see, the interior of the truck got the same treatment as the bed of the truck. From the doors to the interior panels to the passenger seat, I mean, the thing is just gone. Not to mention our little half dash that we did, basically just cutting the dash in half, bolting it back up there, getting rid of the HVAC system and all of that, filling some holes in the firewall there to try and stay a little safer. And yeah, basically all the wiring I went through piece by piece, just so we could get rid of any wires we didn't need anymore, airbag stuff, HVAC stuff, radio stuff, all that jazz. So what makes this all work is right here. So we have our EFI Live V2 with custom tuning from Ryan Milliken and Hardway Performance. Now, the tune that is in the truck is the tune that was in it when I first contacted him about tuning the truck, and never sent him a log, never did anything. Made 1,002 on the dyno, and then we ran into our converter issues and just never had a chance to send him some logs and get a reflash, which I think would have certainly gotten us a little better times at the track, though I think a 1019 is pretty good for stock bottom end 4th gen. And also controlling the transmission, we have the Firepunk Anteater system. This is one of the first 32, I think my original one was, that they had. Once again, that was also in my gray truck Caitlin. And it's just great. I can dial in when the truck shifts, when the converter locks, and all that at the track. Definitely something I need to play with a little more next year and try and get as much mile an hour out of it as I can. We also have a BD staging limmer, which we weren't able to get to work. We had some issues the one night at the track, and after that we just kind of said screw it and didn't have the time to really mess with it and didn't really even have the need. So also the V2 we use for our data logging, which at this point has just been for me so I can see what's going on with the truck. But we also have an Edge CTS2 helping out with the data logging so we can see our boost pressure, drive pressure, EGTs, all the stuff that the factory PCM cannot see from our external sensors. Now that I got the truck back in the garage, another couple little weight saving things. Got rid of the mirrors, got rid of the wipers and all that jazz. Basically, if we didn't need it to go vroom vroom and go down the track, we took it off the truck. So that being said, we have a lot more that we can do this winter, and that's the plan. And the reason the videos have been kind of spotty lately, at least this week, I've been trying to formulate the plan for this winter. Like you guys know, I want to do the engine and I want to do a cage in the truck. So the primary thing is get the kind of ball rolling on the engine side of things. So I've been talking to different companies, getting quotes, getting ideas, because anybody you talk to, they all got a little bit different way of going about things. And that's what we need to find out our game plan. Like I said, getting quotes, just kind of learning. I've been throwing feelers out there to different people I know, not that I know that many in the industry, but people who have dealt with some of these shops, had stuff done by them, and just get a general feel, so we can have the best setup. One thing I will tell you is I still want to keep this a wet block. I don't want to go with a solid block or like a filled block. And the reason for that is I like running the truck at the track. As you guys saw the last time I was there, we made 11 passes in a couple of hours. If you have a filled block or like a solid block, my understanding, you got 45 minutes to an hour of downtime between running. And I just want to be able to run the truck, learn the truck, and become a better driver. I've never actually been able to drag race in an event. The truck was always down. So I need to get better at that. And just I want to enjoy the truck, that's all. So that's my thinking there. But anyhow, guys, that's kind of the walk around of the truck. A lot of this stuff is custom. A lot of it's just stuff that I did. Yes, we did buy a lot of parts, but like with flipping the turbo up, the hood stack, the intercooler piping on that driver's side, that's all stuff I did. This was all kind of my creation. I didn't work with anybody on this. I just call people up, order parts, and we throw it in the truck. So this time around, we're going to be working with some people, because engine building is not something that I know how to do. And when you're doing this kind of a level, or higher than what we're at, I feel the need to talk to some people who really know what they're doing. So that's the mods on the truck. Let me know down in the comments below, what is your favorite mod that we've done to the truck? Was it the selectable hood stack? Was it the electric fans on a 4th gen where they don't belong? Was it cutting the truck up? Let me know down below, what was your favorite part of this build? Because barring any extreme issues, the truck will never go down the track again in this fashion. Without a cage, which I don't condone. That was stupid of me, but that's just the way it goes. We didn't have time to do it, and I wanted to enjoy it. So anyway, guys, I know I probably missed a couple things. Point that out, I'm sure you will, but I hope you guys enjoyed. Subscribe to the channel, like the video. I'll catch you guys on the next one. Get in your garage, start building your 10-second truck.